Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Palette Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Mortal Realms video. As per usual, if you like these videos, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel and drop a comment down below. It is greatly appreciated and I do try to get back to everybody as soon as I possibly can. Now, we're on to week 30, well issue 30 should I say. We have some more Azerite ruins from the Warcry scenery sets, which have that nice kind of metal grated door. The little broken fountain, which would look really good when you got it painted up. Use some still water effects from someone like good old Woodland Scenic or someone like that, or Vallejo do them as well. You can get that in there and yeah, it will look quite nice and can make quite a good looking little piece of scenery. If you wish to do that, you're just not going to need a lot of it because it'll be fairly shallow. So good stuff with that, and you can have fun painting that as well. Into the issue itself, we've got Founders of the Storms, part 5. So it's continuing that kind of the lore behind the Stormcast Eternals, and going to the beginnings of Soul Wars and everything like that after the good old Chaos battles and everything like that as well. So you got a bit more information about the Necroquake, the Iden of Deepkin and the alliance that they formed with good old the forces of Sigmar and everything like that. So the Iden of Deepkin, if you're not aware, are the undersea elven race. Pretty cool looking units. Got good old shark riding elves, you've got the eel riding elves, you've got elves on the back of the big massive seahorse and big massive turtles as well. So they're pretty cool, they look pretty neat and a bit different, which is always quite nice to have. So it only goes through a bit more as well there, including a bit of the Battle of Glimsforge. Glimsforge is the main city in the Soul Wars book, which involves the Anvils of the Helden Hammer going up against the forces of Shyish and the Nighthaunt kind of army, and how yeah, they're coming up against the treacherous Knight Malandrek and everyone like that as well. So it's always really good. It's quite nice to read and a bit different as well. It's a good book. Then we've got more information about the forces of chaos, this time being Tzeentch, the changer of ways. So of course Tzeentch, of course, being sorcerous, deceitful and manipulative, Tzeentch is the chaos god of change. He prides himself upon his ability to manipulate the strands of fate, tempting mortals to his worship with promises of limitless arcane power. His followers are everywhere, hiding in the shadows, working to advance his endless plans. So Tzeentch, if you're unaware, focuses very much on fate and the different strands of fate that kind of go around. It sounds a bit like he's working at the loom in the film Wanted, or the comic book called Wanted and stuff like that. But yeah, they are very much to do with fate, and kind of changing how kind of fate works and everything like that. And it's, you know, a great game to Tzeentch. You also have the kind of demonic rivalry that he has with Nurgle, detailed a little bit of as well there. So Nurgle's ideology requires resigned despair and willingness to accept things as they are. However, Tzeentch delights in carefully laid plans and changing a bit of everything, which Nurgle doesn't quite like. Then you've got a bit more information about one of the older battles. So this was Wylam Lightbearer, the Night Quester, who enters the Silver Tower and goes through the labyrinth, intent of banishing the cruel gaunt summoner who makes this vast structure his home. To reach the spire, he must first face many deadly trials, battling monsters and demons alike. So it's always good to read these cool little stories that don't really appear that much in the actual kind of like novels or anything like that, but they are brought up in kind of hidden away in certain other texts, like the good old battle tomes and stuff like that as well. Every now and then they're kind of brought up into that. So you got things like a bit more details about Tzeentch's kind of heralds. So the Herald of Tzeentch there, one of the demonic leaders, and you got the Exalted Flamer, which majority of the models to do with Tzeentch look very weird, are very unusual, and they're kind of a bit more brightly coloured than most other kind of chaos demons as well. So they are pretty fun to have and to see. Then you got your how to build guide of the Azurite Ruin. In all honesty, it's pretty straightforward, just like the last one is. Very, very easy. You might have to file a few little bits to kind of get it all fitting in right. Personally, if I were you and you want to paint it, don't follow their painting instructions. Decide on your base colour, whether that's going to be grey or whether it's going to be white, or whether you're going to use kind of like a bone colour for sandstone or anything like that, and spray paint the bugger. Otherwise, you're going to layer it up with 3 layers of paint and it's going to look a little bit patchy, and you might get some brush marks in there which don't look that great sometimes. So if you spray paint it, it's far easier, far quicker as well. So, and you'll use less paint on it in reality. So that's definitely one way of doing it, and it's up to you if you want to spray it before you assemble it or after you assemble it. If you are going to do it after you assemble it, you need to kind of move things around a little bit, which can be a pain in the ass, to be blunt. Then you've got your painting guide, which, as I say, their way of doing it is 3 coats of Corax white. I mean, the amount of Corax white you should have used following their instructions, you're on probably your 3rd pot. So it's not the greatest way of doing it. It is entirely up to you though, if you want to do it that way. But their way is simple as well. So they use Agrax Earthshade, dry brushing back over with Corax white. It kind of looks a bit like a marble kind of effect. So it's not too bad. I personally, I'm not the biggest fan of that effect. I kind of prefer sandstone, which looks very different. So if you get the Wraith Bone spray paint from GW, or just a bone kind of colour from any other company like Army Painter or Vallejo or anything like that, it'll look far better. Or just plain grey. You can use plain grey with Agrax Earthshade, do some darker grey into some areas as well, like the brickwork bits, and it'll look pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? So, it's got the bits for painting up your wood as well. You can use Baneblade Brown and Dryad Bark and Null Oil as well to get them wooden kind of bits for them platform areas, which will work very well. It does work quite nicely when you dry brushing Baneblade Brown over the top of it. It does look like timber. Then you've got an expansion onto the core rule, so it expands a bit more about all your movement types and all the different ways you can do it, and how you can use an army, as well as going through everything and how your units must be set up, the movements and enemies as well, just a kind of repeated, and how you can do everything as well onto there as well. So it expands how you should be playing it and how you can play it in a more in-depth way than some of the older issues where they've shown you the quick ways of playing everything. So there's no expanded war scrolls this week, so it's a bit different. So it's a little bit of a shorter way because you're getting all them special movement rolls, everything like that as well on there. But it's kind of detailing how what you can do, including flying over other models as well, which is a different part of the movement phase for you. So pretty good. And then your battle plan is for Cursed City. So fallen columns and broken statues littered the forest clearing, the remnants of a once great city, now reduced to little more than overgrown rubble. Glowing forms crept through the ruin, their clawed talons carving deep gouges in the stones. So this battle plan is completely different. So you get your Gyro map out, get your battlefield terrain pieces on there, so you can have pretty much all the Azurite ruins that you've already got on there, including the new set and the last set that we had, which is pretty handy to have. And you're going to want your Briar Queen, Thorns of a Briar Queen, 4 Grimghast Reapers, Lord Executioner, and then the 9 Glaive Wraiths going up against your Stormcast Eternals in the form of Xandria Azure Bolt, 3 Evocators, 4 Liberators, and 3 Castigators as well. And that is how your battle plan will work. So your battles are getting a bit bigger, they're getting a bit more ambitious, and they are bringing more of the scenery into play as well, which is quite nice to have. Then moving on to next week's issues. So we've got that lovely Lord Exorcist, as I keep banging on about, probably the nicest looking Stormcast Eternal model. Yeah, as I keep saying, it looks like a Cyberman. I'm not going to lie. That will be very, very nice to paint. It's going to be a little bit more of a challenge because you've got some smaller detail, like you can paint some really nice detail into that book, and some fine kind of detail work onto the robes and that kind of straps for kind of like the, I'm going to call it a scarf because it kind of looks like a scarf to me, onto there, as well as that kind of his staff as well that he's using. So you can get some really good stuff. And then issue 32, we're going to get some skulls. So you get plenty of skulls with this. So you've got plenty to be decorative bases. So if you've got like things like this Liberator, where I've got very little on the base, in fact nothing on the base apart from some kind of dry brushed earth kind of texture, you can get your skulls, super glue them on or plastic glue them on, and you can dot them around as on their feet, or around their feet and everything like that. If you want to, you can litter an entire base with skulls and have your model standing on top of all of them if you really, really wanted to, but you are going to use up a lot of skulls in one sitting if you do it that way. Otherwise though, that is it for this week. Quick and easy this one, in all honesty. Definitely a little bit faster than normal, a little bit less to it, a little bit less to do with models this week. It's more to do with that kind of that lore and that history, as well as that battle plan as well. Right, I'm going to leave you guys to it. I will catch you very, very soon for some more Warhammer Mortal Realms, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye now.